Our last speaker for the evening is Dr. Brittany Barreto, the co-founder, executive director, and podcast host of Femtech Focus. While finishing her PhD in genetics at Baylor College of Medicine, Brittany became the CEO and co-founder of the revolutionary dating app Fairmore. The ambitious venture was the first nationwide DNA-based dating app. She then embarked on a new path into venture capital as the senior venture associate at Capital Factory, launching the fund's Houston branch. Under her leadership, the Houston Accelerator portfolio grew by an impressive 205%, and she led due diligence on several successful investments. Brittany now has her sights on advancing women's health and wellness community through her latest world-changing venture, Femtech Focus. She is the host of a podcast which has over 100 episodes, 30,000 downloads, and subscribers in 100 countries. Femtech Focus has assisted hundreds of Femtech founders to build, launch, and succeed through their events, resources, and market research reports. Additionally, Brittany is founding partner and emerging fund manager at Coyote Ventures, an early-stage Femtech investment firm. Over to you, Brittany, for your insights into the not niche Femtech investment space.
Spoiler alert, yep, not niche. I'm very excited to give this talk. Thank you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Co-presenters, can you give me a little nod? It looks good. Can we see it? Yeah, there it is. Awesome. Cool. Thank you, everyone. I'm really excited to talk to you today about opportunities for women's health investments. My name is Dr. Brittany Barreto, and as Michal kindly said, I am the co-founder of Femtech Focus. It's a 501c3 nonprofit supporting femtech innovation, and also the co-founding general partner of Coyote Ventures. We're investing in femtech. And I'm excited to give you a quick 10-minute talk today about investing in women's health. So obviously, I know a lot of scientists are listening in, and researching with sex and gender in mind is very important. But now let's look at the capitalist side of things and investing in women's health. So a little bit of information about Femtech Focus, because if you are attending this event, you likely are interested in women's health. So definitely check out Femtech Focus. Again, 501c3 to empower, equip, and unite the healthcare professionals for women's health. We have a podcast. It's the #1 Femtech podcast in the world. Check it out on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you stream your podcasts. We have a virtual community that you can join. Just go to femtechfocus.org and join our virtual community there. We have over 1,000 Femtech founders. We do events on a weekly basis. We have listening parties. We have founder workshops. We also have summits and book club, and we do research. So I'm really excited today. I'll be revealing some of the research we've been doing on the landscape of Femtech. What are companies working on? How many exits have happened? What's the value created in Femtech? And then there's Coyote Ventures. You can check us out and subscribe at coyote.ventures. We are a $10 million seed stage venture fund investing in women's health and wellness startups. We bring expertise. Myself, my background is in genetics, serial entrepreneur and investor, and Jessica Carr, my co-founder. She is also a biochemist, early employee at Impossible Foods. So we bring that scientific knowledge to our due diligence. We also provide visibility through Femtech Focus's media arm and our network of Femtech experts for our founders. So here's the agenda that I'm going to go through today, the next 10 minutes, and I will similarly talk kind of fast because there's just so much juicy data to tell you about. Feel free to take a screenshot. All I ask is if you post it, tag Femtech Focus, tag Coyote Ventures, and tag me. That would be really awesome. Otherwise, let's spread the word because there's a spoiler alert. It's not niche. In fact, it's giant. There is so much money in women's health, and there are so many deals in women's health. So yeah, let's spread the word. So first, let's talk about market size. Many people quote Frost & Sullivan $50 billion. We have gone ahead and recalculated this based on 103 conditions that solely, disproportionately, or differently affect women, female, and girls. Within these 103 conditions, you can kind of solidify them into 21 subsections of health, which you can see on the right of my screen here. Added together, it's $1.1 trillion by 2027. That is a lot. That is huge. That is a very, very large market. So please feel free to post this. Women's health total addressable market, $1.1 trillion. Now, I do want to look at a few of these subsections that I'm really excited about. If you can see, the biggest subsection is actually chronic conditions. And we were learning about that today with autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia, even migraines, right? These are conditions that are lifelong, and you can see how there's a lot of spending happening in there. So that's a huge market opportunity. Another market I'm really excited about is uterine health. So when I think about uterine health, I think about endometriosis and heavy menstrual bleeding and the solutions that we still need. We do not have a diagnostic for endometriosis, let alone treatments. So I'm really excited about that one. Cardiovascular. Again, y'all just set me up so well with all the previous talks, because cardiovascular is a huge market. A lot of money in that market, and yet we are not looking at it through the lens of the female anatomy and the female metabolism in our body and our biology. And so I'm really excited to see some cardio startups specifically focusing on women's hearts. Those are going to be some really big exits. Another one I'm excited about is mental health, especially through the pandemic. Women have bared a huge burden of the stress of taking care of the family, losing work. So I think that mental health is going to be a huge need. And I know we do have a lot of great telehealth for mental health apps out there, but they're very gender agnostic. They're for everybody. And there's specific stresses that women are experiencing. So I'm excited to see some probably digital health apps coming out of that. And then last but not least, urinary health. Urologists didn't know people were peeing their pants till they saw Depends commercials. It literally, incontinence was not taught in medical school for many, many, many decades. So urinary health, having to do with incontinence, pelvic floor health, UTIs, really excited about that area as well. So market size, huge, 1.1 trillion. How many companies are in Femtech? Well, our database shows 618 currently. This is as of probably last week, last time I checked our database. If you'd like a PDF version of this, go to femtechfocus.org and go to our resource tab. You can download the PDF version. If you'd like an editable version of this list, please email us at hey@femtechfocus.org and we can talk about that. So these are active Femtech companies. So they're working something specifically for women's health and wellness, and they're global. So 618 companies. What are they working on? Well, I'm glad you asked. So here's a graph about what are these companies addressing. And so what we can see is that the saturated, quote unquote, and I will break down why is that not really saturated, include menstruation, maternal health, fertility, and sexual wellness. These four categories make up 52% of all Femtech companies. So you can think organic tampons, organic cotton tampons. You can think digital health apps for moms. You can think IVF solutions. Sexual wellness is toys, all pleasure, all the way to hygiene. But the reason why I put saturated in quotes is because if there is any saturation in these areas, it's usually for the affluent Caucasian woman in the United States. These are not problem solved for non-affluent individuals and non-white individuals. So maternal mortality rate in the United States is the highest of any developed country. In fact, it's increasing. As a millennial woman, I am twice as likely to die from childbirth as my own mother, which is insane. And so obviously it is not saturated if more and more women are dying. Black women are 3 times more likely to die of childbirth than white women. And then also of menstruation, period poverty. This is something that is happening not just in, countries that are economically struggling. This is happening in your backyard. In the United States, 1 in 5 girls will lose a day of school every year because they didn't have access to menstrual products. That is period poverty in our backyards. These are problems that are not solved and still need innovating. Growth areas where I see more up and coming innovation: menopause, breastfeeding, reproductive health, breast health, urinary health, and contraception. So again, OCON is an example of new forms of contraception coming to market and changing the landscape of maybe, just like how we don't want to eat hormone-filled chicken, maybe now we can imagine a world where women are hormone-free as well and just having our own natural ones. Here's the areas that, as an innovator, I'm excited about. These are really, really needing innovation. So pelvic floor therapy, totally outdated. And I'm really excited about some companies coming up that are working on pelvic floor health, vaginal health, uterine health, mental health. We talked about that, chronic conditions, hormonal health, abortion. We only have 5 companies that we know of innovating in the abortion space, yet 1 in 4 women in the world will have an abortion. That is huge. Same with cardiovascular. Number 1 killer of women in the United States is heart disease. And yet we know of 3 Femtech companies, women's heart specific companies. So we need a lot of help. Fitness as well. Fitness, you can say, wait, what are you talking about? Well, remember the first talk, literally everything, even down to what are your exercise routines should be, have been based on male metabolisms and their bodies. So even female specific fitness innovation is needed. So the next part I'd like to tell you about is the exits. So as an investor is one of our favorite parts. So what's the likelihood of an exit and a return? Here's some statistics that not a lot of people know about. So many perceive Femtech as niche, emerging, no exits yet. That is not true. We have documented and recorded at least 102 Femtech exits since 1990. It's been $27.6 billion in total value created from these exits. The average Femtech exit is $301 million, which is significant because the average tech company exits at $240 million. So if you want an extra $60 million on average, you should definitely invest in Femtech. A little bit of a breakdown here. Of the 102 exits, there's been 14 IPOs, 88 mergers and acquisitions. Hologic is the number 1 acquirer of Femtech companies. They've acquired 20 of the 102 companies. On average, 8 years to exit, which is pretty great, actually, considering most funds are a 10-year fund. 5.1x median return on investment, and we've had 4 unicorns. That means over $1 billion in their exit. And fun fact, Femtech exits are on the rise. And so this really speaks to why now is a great time to be investing in Femtech, because 1990 was actually Hologic's IPO originally. Then we went 6 years with no Femtech exits. And then we saw occasionally 1 here, 2 there. By 2007, we really started to see this peak, and it's been a consistent growth. Don't be alarmed by the dip in 2021. It's just because the year is getting started. I anticipate this number going higher than 2020. So who else is investing in Femtech? These are Femtech investors. Now, there's many people that invest in Femtech, right? But these are funds that are specifically focused on investing in women's health and wellness innovation. So we have Steel Sky Ventures, Avestria, The Case for Her, Portfolio. Portfolio is actually the original Femtech fund. They're on their 2nd fund now. Fem Health Ventures, you may have seen recent articles by them. Very excited for their success and starting their fund. There's Rhea Ventures. Rhea Ventures focuses more on fertility. Astria Ventures, Artemis Women's Health. Artemis is actually in Europe, and they are doing later stage therapeutics investing, and then Coyote Ventures. We have 9 core Femtech funds in the world. Many of these have just started in the last year. What that tells me is that there are emerging fund managers seeing this trend, and we are in the process of, fundraising in order to deliver capital into this industry. And I do also want to give a plug for some of the hot deals right now, because sometimes I feel like we're so abstract in talking about femtech. And so why not give you some examples and why not get some light to some awesome deals? So here's some of the deals that we're looking at. And as a femtech fund, we are inundated with deals. We currently have, I think, 50 under due diligence, which is insane for a venture fund. It's so crazy, but there are so many amazing companies. So there's companies like Poly working on PCOS, Brilliantly, which is working on core body temperature after a double mastectomy, because the saline in the reconstructed breasts pulls your core temperature out. And these women who've survived breast cancer are freezing cold all the time. The agenda period is literally an agenda book with your schedule based on your menstrual cycle, based on your creativity and productivity. Hera Biotech, diagnostic for endometriosis. Maternal Medical, pelvic floor health company. There are just so many amazing ones. This is literally just very, very top of the list. Top 4 reasons to invest in women's health as we wrap up here. It's $1 trillion market. It's prime for disruption. Less than 1% of VC funding goes to femtech in the previous years, but women are increasing their health expectations, and there's a movement for health equality. Women are saying this is not acceptable. I do not feel well, or there needs to be a better way, and women are stepping up to the plate. And because more women are in STEM, we're making the solutions ourselves. So that actually speaks to number 3, 80% of femtech founders are women. Femtech is not only for women. Obviously, we had a male speaking here about running his company, but female founders have proven to be better investment targets because of their 2x revenue, their 35% higher ROI. And lastly, the average exit value is $50 million more than the average tech exit value. So if you are so excited about this data and you're like me and you're like, I need more of this data, stay tuned. We are publishing a report on all of these graphs. So just subscribe to femtechfocus.org, or you can also subscribe at coyote.ventures. If you're interested in the raw data, please contact me at hey@femtechfocus.org or Brittany@femtechfocus.org. And if you're a femtech founder who's looking to fundraise, you can send your pitch deck over to deals@coyote.ventures. Thank you.